Good morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And filling in for Joel Elconin, I am Jake LeCure. Welcome to Premarket Info.
Welcome to another JC Penney sell-off here, Jake. It's just every day you come in. This is well, it's been down for 6 days in a row. This could be the seventh day in a row if it doesn't come back here. Although we are on a little bit of a rally here from where it just bottomed out at $8 and I think 87 cents. It just got down to. So JC Penney here. More bad news here, Jake. What's happening in this?
JCPenney's just getting crushed. I mean, they've been down 5 sessions in a row, so that certainly doesn't help on the momentum side. But the news that the company is going to be raising money is not new. That kind of came out yesterday, but it looks like they're going to be doing it through equity, according to Reuters. Looking to do between $750 million and $1 billion in equity. So, the company just did that massive debt raise. Now they're doing an equity raise.
Wow.
So, not only is it a sign that they're burning cash, but it's dilutive. And I mean, you have a Citi analyst saying that the company's got enough liquidity for 2013, but unclear about 2014 and 2015. Well, you only got 3 months of 2013 left. And they basically saying the company, it's basically out of money.
Wow.
Definitely not good. Shares sold off as much as 9% this morning. May have been slightly overdone given what happened yesterday, seeing as we got that bounce right at 889, and it's really had some strength since then, but still down quite a bit from yesterday's close.
Yeah, and in that Citigroup report, they were saying that if they had to, the liquidation value they see at $1. So that's just a scary thing to say too.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, you've also got GS warning bond investors to buy protection in case JCPenney defaults on its debt. So there's just not a lot of good comments out here this morning. Obviously, multiple articles that JCPenney's in trouble. It's basically everybody's talking about it right now. Looks like Ackman actually did something right here, Jake, when he sold the stock.
Well, I think when he sold out, he took out the bottom on it, right? I mean, he was the support. No one wanted to get out or get out of it because they knew it would stop at about 13 every time. But once he got out, there goes the Ackman support, and now it's just off to the races and see who can get to the bottom first.
Yeah, like I mentioned, you wonder if you're going to get a little bit of a bounce day here because we were at $13 4 trading sessions ago. We just hit 889 in the pre-market, and we have bounced up to 945. It's traded 2.2 million shares, so massive volume here. But obviously, long term, it just doesn't sound that good here for J.C. Penney. Like, I mean, I go into those stores, and I don't know if you go into them, Jake, but when you walk in there, it seems like a ghost town. I go in there because I'm cheap, and you can get cheap clothing sometimes, so I don't actually mind it. There's always huge sales on because that's probably the only way they can sell stuff. But when you compare it to like a Dillard's or something, in the same mall I was saying when I was in Chicago, I said this on the show a few months ago, Dillard's was jam-packed, and there was like nobody in the J.C. Penney store. So.
Yeah, I know that they said that the new JCP stores, are yielding was it like $173 a square foot, so they're doing a little bit better than Macy's. But how many of those JCP stores do they even have? Are they even doing those conversions anymore? The company is just completely running out of cash.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you look, so obviously the fundamentals are kind of scary. It's raising money yet again. They kind of have weakness on the leadership side since they brought Ullman back. I was kind of hoping maybe they'd bring in a new CEO as kind of a visionary that could really steer the ship. And you look at the near-term trend. You had 6 down sessions, 1 up session, and then another 5 down sessions. So the company doesn't have the momentum either. So kind of a scary story right now for JCPenney.
And it's a single-digit stock here this morning. Let's move on to a better story here. As weak as JCPenney has been, Facebook just continues to climb. It has actually been up for 7 sessions in a row. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 7 sessions in a row. This could be the 8th one. Facebook broke through 50 here this morning. You've actually got a price target being increased at Jefferies from 37 to 60. It seems like every day some analyst comes out, raises the price target, and Facebook pops another 70 or 80 cents. And that's what's happening here this morning. But taking out that key psychological resistance area of $50.
Yeah, Facebook's really been on quite a run there, and after news got out that they've really kind of gotten a hold of mobile and they crossed that IPO price, it's really been off to the races. So no solid news in Facebook, really, just kind of sentiment and continuing the follow through.
And you can see here, like we obviously had this uptrend going, but we really started to take off here really in the last 6 or 7 trading sessions when we put in this double bottom right down here, 42.43, 7 sessions ago. It had the key reversal day, took out the new highs, and has been straight up since. And I don't know what's going to derail this Facebook. It just got momentum. This is the momentum market. When you have obviously weak momentum and selling off, it continues to show the weak. The dogs get weaker and the stars, and then it gets stronger here, Jake. It's just the momentum market. Let's look at Tesla here too this morning because it actually did break out a little bit there yesterday. It was trying to break out. 186.30 did make a new all-time high. Is up here again this morning, up another $1.91 at 187.15. And as it continues to climb here, you start to think about that psychological $200 level starting to become a magnet.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. They had that news after the close yesterday that Hertz will be renting Teslas at their dealerships. So if people, or it's only at LAX and San Francisco, but it looks like you'll be able to get a check out of Tesla. The incredible thing to me though is they're charging $500 a day to rent a Tesla.
Holy cow.
I guess I could either lease myself a Lexus for a month or I could rent a Tesla for a day. So
wow.
A tough call there, right?
Oh, wow. Speaking of Hertz, we'll bring up the chart on that one because it actually came out today and lowered guidance. 2013 guidance down to $1.68 versus $1.78. Estimates were up at $1.89. It's actually one of your big losers on the day here. If not, actually, I think it's the biggest loser on the day now, surpassing JCPenney since JCPenney's had a little rally here in the last 20 minutes. It's down $2.80 right now, trading at $22.92. So Hertz here looking pretty weak.
Yeah, that guidance was just not so hot. Dropping revenues to 10.8 billion to 10.9 billion, while EPS from 168 to 178. So really not impressing traders there, and was it gapping down almost 4 points there? So
yeah, 3
rough.
points anyway, so.
Rough day for Hertz.
Looking back on June 24th, you had a bottom of 22.03, and then we rallied obviously hard off of that. Come back down. We went up there, tried to retest, found major resistance in the 27.5 area. Now with this negative guidance, you wonder if we're going to test the lower end of this range here, where that low was 22.03. We're at 22.90 right now, so we have not quite got down that low in the pre-markets. Trade 936,000 shares, so some big volume here. But that's where you probably have some pretty decent support. If we fall another 80-90 cents from here, maybe you can get a little bounce off that 22 area. Looking here at a couple other ones that reported earnings there last night. Bed Bath & Beyond, which is BBBY, reported a pretty good quarter here. Jake, you got those numbers?
Yeah, let me pull those up real quick. Bed Bath & Beyond did report the second quarter at $1.16 for EPS. Street was looking for $1.15, so a little beat there. Revenues did come in at $2.82 billion, slightly beating again on the top line. Street was looking for $2.81 billion. I think what's getting the Street excited is the fiscal year 2014 EPS guidance. Company guided 488 to 501. Street was looking for 501, but the company's previous guidance there was 484 to 501. So moving more to the upside of the guidance, lowering the lower leg of that guidance up by 4 cents. I think that got the Street a little excited. They also increased their third quarter 2014 guidance $1.11 to $1.16. Street is looking for $1.12. So bumping up that guidance a little bit and a slight beat on the top and bottom line.
And the Q4 sales growth expecting to be 3.5% to 5.5%, so they're liking that as well. Stock getting a good lift here in the pre-market. We're up over $4, $4.53 right now. We had a high back on the 6th of June at 78.25, and we are trading above that right now. Obviously, if we start, taking that out in the regular session, actually do indeed open above that in the regular session, I believe this is an all-time high, or at least it's a high for the last 8 years on Bed Bath & Beyond. So looking pretty good here for the bulls on BBBY. Also looking at who reported this morning, Jabil Circuit. Actually, they reported last night, and Jabil disappointed the Street here a little bit. They actually beat 56 cents versus 54 cents and 4.81 billion versus 4.53 billion. But the full year guidance was not that great here, $2.48 versus $2.65 estimates. So Jabil Circuit here trading down actually in the pre-market about 80 cents. What's your thoughts here on Jabil there, Jake?
Well, the guidance wasn't exactly what the street was hoping for. He got it 248 for fiscal year 2013. Street was looking for 265. So despite that, it did beat on the top and bottom. I mean, so slight beat on the top. I guess 4.81 billion versus 4.53, and the bottom line did beat by 2 cents. 56 cents was a 54-cent estimate, but that guidance I think is what the street's kind of paying attention to. I guess it's just important to watch out for the analyst ratings because if they come out and all start throwing sells onto it, it might kind of drag the shares down a little bit.
Looks like somebody's trying to defend the $23 area here in the pre-market. We had a low back on the 23rd of September at 22.94, and we've really not been trading too much below the $23 area here in the pre-market. We do cut below there. You had multiple lows at 22.5, but it looks like 23 may find a little bit of initial support for a Jable circuit. Nike and Accenture will both report earnings here tonight. Obviously, Nike recently went into the Dow here, and the stock is up about 8 cents here. Fair value on the S&Ps is just up a little bit as well because we're up 3 points in the S&P futures. What do you see here with the Nike quarter coming up? Obviously, going to report here earnings tonight.
Well, the company's beat on the bottom line for the last 4 quarters in a row and on the top line for 3 of the last 4 quarters. So Nike does have that trend. You're seeing some strength there, and obviously the shares have been really appreciating since the beginning of September. It kind of really, I guess, depends on how they've managed to see if they've managed to fight off Under Armour there or not. But I mean, the analysts are pretty bullish. If you kind of go even back all the way to May, you've got all the biggest names having buys. I guess you've got smaller analysts like Wedbush and D.A. Davison at neutral, Piper Jaffray at neutral, but Deutsche Bank's at a buy and Wells Fargo's at outperform. So analysts are pretty bullish on the report, and Deutsche Bank actually came out with that report on the 24th. So they're really sticking their neck out there, bumping price target from 68 was the prior to 75 now. So when you have an analyst coming out 2 days before the report getting bullish, rarely do they stick their neck out like that unless they know something. So I don't know. It's just kind of interesting. Maybe important to dive into that Deutsche Bank report and see what they see. Maybe it's just maybe it crossed a price target for them, or maybe it's something a little bit stronger than that.
Hey guys, I got the little economic data for you. I got the third and final reading for Q2 GDP that comes in at up 2.5%. Economists were looking for a gain of 2.6%. Also just out was initial jobless claims for the week ended September 21st. That's coming in at 305,000, a little better than expected. Economists were looking for 325,000. Also continuing claims coming in at 2.823 million. Analysts were looking for 2.818 million.
And the market kind of quiet here, really not muted action here again off of these economic numbers. It seems like this market just gets tighter and tighter unless it's like a jobs number or a Fed announcement. So it seems like non-event here, it looks like, again, for that economic release. Going back to the Nike here, I just want to highlight the one area here where we have found support. 5 of the last 7 sessions, we have bottomed right around this $68 level. You had a low of $67.91 on the 16th, $67.98 on the 17th, $67.93 on the 18th, $68.10, and $68.04 on the 23rd. So obviously somebody's defending the $68 level here. And then just on the upside, I do see some institutional resistance up there at $70, where there's over 44,000 shares offered there. Obviously, after the earnings report today, those numbers can obviously get taken out because it'll have some significant volume trading with it. But if you're trading the stock today, support's pretty well defined at 68, and resistance is pretty well defined up there in the upper 69s. So, also going to report tonight is Accenture, ACN. Just want to bring up the chart of that and check it out quickly. Jake, do you have any info there on the potential of the report there? I know Accenture's actually bit up there this morning.
I mean, they've beat on the bottom line for the last 3 reports. Then they had one where they matched estimates, and the one before that they beat. So basically, the last 5 reports they've either beat or matched. On the top line, it's a little mixed. 3 of the last 5 they've beat in the top line, and 2 of the last 5 they've missed. They did raise guidance back in June. So you have a little bit higher expectations here for the fiscal year. But as far as the big analysts go, you had Citigroup maintaining its buy while bumping up the price target from 84.50 to $86 yesterday. So again, you have a big name coming out right ahead of earnings, sticking its neck out, and reiterating that buy while raising the price target. You also had Baird back on August 9th, so a ways back, moving it from neutral to outperform while putting an $86 price target on it as well. So two most recent ratings are pretty bullish, and even if you go farther back, you still have pretty bullish ratings on it. So analysts are liking this one.
And it looks like it is going to open up here today. It just traded up at 76.81 a few minutes ago. This 76.12 print that you're looking at is just an institutional cross from the previous day, so that's not really where it's trading at right now. It is bid up at 76.75, so it does look like it's going to open up about 60 cents today ahead of tonight's earnings report. If you are trading it after the bell, just want to alert you guys to a potential double top that we had back on the 19th and the 20th, where the stock topped out at 78.33 and the next day at 78.34. Just moving on here, I wanted to look at Netflix because, wow, this $300 level on Netflix, some institution is completely defending this level. Every time it gets down to around $300, it bounces out of there. It did it again 2 days ago, obviously putting in a kind of a double bottom here again at $299.5 and $300.35. So Netflix, $300, the bulls are still in command as long as that holds, and somebody is trying to make it hold up there. Jake, are you still there?
Yeah, the analysts aren't even too bullish on this one anymore. You've got Morgan Stanley on equal weight. You've got CRT Capital saying it's fairly valued. BTIG with neutral. If you look across the board, it's a lot of more boutique analysts, but they're all either market perform, sector perform, holds, neutrals. No one's looking to really get bullish on this one because I don't think anyone really knows what to do. I mean, huge amount of momentum, but also when you look fundamentally, it's a massive PE. So it's just a matter of when does this transfer really from a wild momentum stock into maybe more of just like a growth stock.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of analysts that are kind of wary of really sticking their neck out there on this one.
Yeah, and when you put the run into perspective, about a year ago we were trading around $50 here. So I mean, and obviously Icon had the great purchase, one of his best purchases, down there in that whole $50-$60 area. So this has been just an incredible year for Netflix. When you look at it, up at $300 in the start of the year, and around 90, and in October down around 55. It's just been an incredible move here. Obviously this is this kind of stock that we talk about when they got momentum, they can continue to run for a while. I do think and I agree with you, like the lofty valuations are scary here. Obviously if they came out with any type of bad news, you'd have a lot of people probably fleeing the stock in a hurry, but as long as the stock can stay above $300, and we'll call it 297 because that's really the area where it bottomed a few times, was 297 to 296. So give it all 295. As long as it can stay above that area, the bulls still keep command here, but the longer it seems to hang out here around 300, you kind of wonder, if it's going to eventually start to take that area out. But momentum's still on the side of Netflix here, though. Just looking here, WPRT going to do a secondary. You've had a lot of secondaries here. I've noticed that over the course of the last probably couple of months. It seems like every night there's a few companies doing secondary offerings. So despite this market obviously showing a lot of strength, why do you think all these secondary offerings, like in WPRT, they're going to offer 6 million shares? Are these companies just using, maybe their runs that they've had to, obviously raise money and invest farther? Or are they looking for capital? I just don't totally understand why so many secondaries here lately.
I am really glad you brought that up because we've been watching it on the desk for the last, I want to say, 4 weeks. Basically ever since Labor Day weekend, it's been incredibly elevated number of secondaries. We're averaging over 20 secondaries a week right now,
wow,
which is still pretty above average. Now, these aren't large secondaries. Most of them are smaller companies and doing mid-sized secondaries. But somewhere out there, you have all the bankers basically saying this is the best time to offer. I mean, if you think about it, the most basic investing strategy is buy low, sell high. So the advisors to these companies, or at least their internal models, are saying it's time to sell because we're at a high. So Could that be a signal for a market top? I don't know, but you're seeing a ton of offerings, and something we've been meaning to dig into is really see how that compares to other years. We know the number's elevated, but just how elevated is that? You've seen some big secondaries from companies, like Solar City and Stratasys. But if we start seeing, larger firms, maybe, I don't know, like a Netflix or something like that dropping a secondary, then I think things get real interesting because, you're wondering if maybe these momentum companies are trying to capitalize on the last of this rally. But definitely a lot of the smaller companies are taking advantage right now of, elevated valuations to raise some capital.
Well, S&P futures have drifted up a little bit here. We're trading at 1690 and a half. Yesterday's close 1685.75, and the low overnight's been 1686.50. So this whole 1685 to 1686 area has been a pretty good support level. If we get up to that whole 1700 level, it's still psychological resistance. We got up there a couple days ago and obviously couldn't break above there. So it looks like the range is pretty, well defined. Where support you've got around 1685 and resistance up in the 1700 area. So anyways, that's our show for today, guys. Have a great trading day, and we'll be back at you tomorrow morning.